What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is ASA Studio, a channel for music producers and photographers and so much more. I want to really appreciate everyone that is actually supporting the channel one way or the other, showing some love. I want to say a very big thank you all. Without you guys, the channel won't be growing. So we are here in Capture One. We're here to edit this photo on the screen, and we're using Capture One to edit it. I just want to show you a few retouching tips and tricks you can also use in editing your photo. So let's dive right into it. Now, a few things just to pick up on the problem we're actually facing in the photo, because as you can see, when you are editing, sometimes you just don't know what to edit or where to start from, and I sometimes find myself in those places. Now I would like to sometimes I like using Capture One to edit, then I take it to Photoshop and then do others, other stuff. So let's try and do something new here in Capture One. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to observe the histogram and see the dynamics of the picture. So I can see a lot of big and not much dynamics in the blue. There is actually, high dynamics in the blue, and also a smooth dynamic with the green, red, and others. And also the iPad is high dynamics in the blues also. So if you over the sky, you see there are some blues there, but you can actually see it because it is actually eye clipping. So if I turn on the exposure warning, you're going to be seeing the sky red because those places are actually clipping. The sky is supposed to be white clouds and sometimes blue sky. So we're going to fix that in a minute. So I'm going to turn off. We've not actually done anything, so you can see the before and then after. So let's go right into the first thing I'm going to do. So for this photo, I'm actually going to express the feeling of the photo, because if you see the subject is actually feeling something, feeling the weather, touching her skin, and like, oh, I'm feeling something. So you need to make the image look exactly like what she's actually feeling. She's actually feeling like you feeling the morning sun, or you feeling the cool breeze or something like that. You're just feeling something. So let's just start with what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to work on the exposure, which is the exposure warning we are getting right there. So come here and then click on new fill. Okay, let's work on the exposure, new adjustment, and we're using the sky. Sorry, I'm gonna delete everything. I'm gonna name it sky exposure. And now I'm going to pick the brush tool, and now I'm going to select. So let's right click and reduce the refine edge tool and the tolerance. So just like this, so we can pick actually the sky and the rest. So I'm going to select the sky now. So you can see me selecting the sky. I'm going to decrease the brush and then pick over some places that I can actually select. So now I'm actually going to increase the refine edge just a bit so that I can get some details from those areas. So something like this, and it's actually going to fill in with a very nice blend. All right, so let's continue. I'm going to turn off the mask, and then I'm going to go to the exposure and the eye dynamics. Now, one thing you need to take note of, I don't want to remove the highlight of the sky, and I just want to reduce the brightness so it won't be clipping. So whichever one you touch, either you make use of the brightness, the exposure, the highlight, or the white. So those have different settings. Now if you reduce the exposure, you are not actually going to get any color. Just you can see what's going to happen. If you reduce the brightness, I guess that's going to actually solve and bring some blues. You can see some blues in the sky, but you can see that it's actually having these halos. So it's actually bringing out those the greens that are on the corn far behind. Okay, so I'm going to reset that, and let's see what the highlight will do. The highlight is actually going to make things darker, like the exposure, just as if the rain wants to fall. So I won't do that. The white also will also act like the highlight. So let's use the brightness tool and bring things backwards. So the brightness is actually working on the mid range, so trying to bring some blues back, but not too much. I'm just going to use 50, and then we're going to leave it like that. So I'm going to turn on the exposure warning, and then I'm going to bring back the white to get rid of those. So now we have this wonderful sky. I'm going to increase the saturation if at all. If there is a blue, just get some blues in it. So I'm going to decrease the white a little to get rid of that. So we have this kind of feel. Now we can see our before and then our after. So let me turn up the exposure warning before and then after. So now let's work on the let me say the corn itself, which is the leaf. So I'm going to create another layer, empty layer, and then I'm going to name this one the grass, or let's say the grain leaf, grain leaves. So we are working our way up, fixing the problem. So the grain leaf. Now I'm going to make selection of the leaves. All right, so I've made the selection of the leaf, and toggling M, you see the leaves is actually selected and not the model. So what are we going to do with the leaves? Let's see what we can do. Now I want the subject to pop out more than the leaves, and I see the leaf is actually more is also saturated, and also like it's actually bright. So I'm going to bring it down just a bit, not the white, just the brightness a little bit, and then you see some, it gives that depth. And I'm going to bring down the saturation again just a bit, so it's actually not saturated, because if it's actually saturated, it's actually stealing the part of the image. So I'm just going to bring it down, but if you want it to remain the same, there's no problem, but I'm just going to bring it down just a little. Now why I brought it down is because of I want it to blend with the sky. So just take a look at how it's not actually fitting with the way the sky is. So that is why I brought it just a little bit down to actually fit in with the sky. So let's see our before and then our after. So if you feel like you want to increase the highlight, you can actually bring it up a little bit. And I'm not going to touch the white because there is nothing like white on the background. So now let's work on the model now. So I'm going to select the full image this time around. So create a few layers. So as this is, I will name it full image, and this time I would like to bring up the exposure. So just a bit. Let's see what happens when bringing up the exposure. I want the image, the model to be, brighter, just a bit from the background, so she's actually feeling. So not too much, just a little bit. So let's see just before and then after, bringing it back to life. Now we have all this color back. So nothing so too different from the before and then after. We are just actually fixing just the little details in the photo, so you can see before and then after. So take a look at our face, the way our face comes out. So now let's work on the skin texture. And one thing I just want to do, I just want to blend the skin texture, and I can take it to Photoshop to fix all these just a little blemishes. So let's see, create a new layer, empty layer, and let's work on the skin. So I'm going to name this skin. So just work on them differently. I'm going to select the skin now with the brush tool, and all right, so now I've selected a skin. So let's look at why we're selecting a skin. If you zoom in, you can see some red here, of which you can actually fix that with Photoshop on Photoshop. And if I was to do Photoshop, I'll actually fix this, adding some skin tones, just this rough skin, and then this is just an eyelid, and this is also an eyebrow. So just little differences in color. So if you can see our ends and the skin is not actually the same. You can see the difference in color. So I'm just going to blend that a little bit. So let's go to the editor, to color editor, and then I'm going to close the histogram this time around, I'm going to go to the color editor and go to the skin tone. So I'm going to take this eyedropper tool. Now that we selected the skin, we're only working with the skin. Now it's left for you to choose where you want the skin tone to be like. But I find it that the best place to choose is, around our hands. I feel like I like the skin tone of our hands. And I don't want the way this one is actually looking. So I'm just going to pick from our hands because and note the circle here is going to show you where the skin tone is actually is. So touching where you want will make. So let's choose somewhere. Yeah, I think I like. Okay. Some beautiful part of our body. Let's take somewhere here. So you can see that is actually selected. So if you take somewhere here, still the same. Take somewhere here, still the same. So average should be there. Oh yeah. So I'll take somewhere. Yeah. Now let's take somewhere here. Or let's take somewhere here. Whichever one. Let's just take somewhere there and then bring it out. So if you actually selected skin tone, it showed view selected color range, you see that this is actually where it's being selected. But unfortunately, we didn't select our hair. So let's go back to the tutorial. So now that we've selected it, we just need to increase the uniformity. And now I'm going to draw the slider up, not all the way up, so you can see that it's actually making these two colors look alike. So let's turn off the before and after. I feel like we need the layer. I didn't actually bring the layer tool back, so let's just add it on top. So let's bring back the layer and then let's turn it off and on, so you can see the difference in just color. Zooming off, you can see the yellow kind of skin, and then on, you can see how it's actually making it look alike. So I'm going to turn it all the way up because I want it to be realistic. Turning it all the way up will just make things smooth. But I don't like turning it all the way up. I want some a little bit difference. And take a look at the nose too. The reddish part of our nose is actually out. So before and then after. So you can see the reddish part is actually on. But one thing is the lips. So we can actually erase it from the lips. So let's grab our eraser tool and then decrease the size of the brush. And this time I'm going to remove it from two places. So I'm going to hit M on the keyboard and then view the mask. And then I'm going to draw, just erase some part of the lips, just like so. Not too much, just part of the lips. And I feel like, okay, let's turn it off. I feel like I need to, remove it from this part of let's turn it on and then hit on the keyboard. Okay, so let's remove it from this part. Just that part a little, and maybe from the air and eyelid. So it doesn't matter if it's actually rough, but my eyes, I'm gonna remove it just inside. Okay, so I'm good with that. So I'm gonna hit M backwards, and you just have to see the difference. The difference is that we actually remove it from from the eye and the from the body, from the eyebrow and the rest part. So I'm going to increase the saturation a bit. Now just a bit. Now brings the photo back to life, a skin tone. I'm going to decrease the hue either to this side or this side. Now if you bring it all the way up, it's actually going to look yellow. Bring it back, it's actually going to look the way it sees in the finger. So I've noticed that. So bringing it up the way up, you can see the yellow feel of the skin tone. You can actually see that it's actually blending. If you bring it all the way back to actually feel like the other kind of feel, you can see the difference. So it depends on the one you want to choose. Already I wanted this one because it actually looks real to me compared to the one of the yellow one, which is actually looking like still real, but I feel like I like this one the more. So it depends on the one you want to go for. I won't go to extreme end completely. I just like the feel of this one. So let's continue with what we want. Now if you want to increase the likeness, we need to increase the likeness because that is definitely how she's actually proud of her skin. So it actually needs to glow a little bit. So I'm just going to increase the lightness of the skin tone, and then also this one, the uniformity of the lightness, not too much, just a little bit. And then I'm not going to saturate it, because saturation makes it looks let me just show you. Saturation makes it look some not real, and you just see that it's actually looking not real. So this one, although the skin tone is not actually there, but we need to give it a little more saturation to bring it, to make it feel like, yes, it's actually there, she's actually feeling her skin. So that is not actually too much. Okay, so now let's continue. We're going to deal with the cloth right away. So let me just decrease the saturation just a bit by 4.9. So we have from this to this glowing skin. I'm going to fix the blue jeans now. So I'm going to make selection. So create a new layer, new empty layer, and then I'm going to name it jacket. Okay. All right. Now I've selected the jacket, and you can see it's in M on the keyboard. It's going to bring it. So now I want our body to be the brightest in the photo, but not the jacket. So I'm going to go to the exposure tool. Let's drag this one in because I mistakenly brought them out. So I'm going to drag them out and in. So now let's bring down. Let's use not the highlight, the white, and then let's bring down the brightness just a bit to have a calm feeling. Yeah. So now body is actually the lightest part in the image, so not too much, just a bit, 14. And we can actually bring up the highlights too to make it, let's give it some saturation, and it's going to actually make the image or the photo glow. Okay, so for our hair you can also do the same, but I'm just going to leave it just the way it is, so I'm not going to adjust that. Now let's adjust the full image this time around. For that I'm going to create a new fill layer, and what let's name this one the jacket, Jacket. So creating a new adjustment layer, I'm going to name this one overall. So what we're going to do on this I want the image to pop out, and there's only one tool that can make that happen, which is the contrast tool. So I'm going to bring it all the way up, and you can actually see that it's actually making the subject come out compared to before. So let me turn it off. Compared to before, you can see greater difference with it. Now what I'm also going to do, I'm actually going to decrease the highlight, and no, not the highlight, sorry, the shadow rather, down to create more depth of feel. I'm going to decrease the blacks too. So just like that, you can actually see how the woman comes out of the image and from the background. So okay, so now just a little bit, let's take it to 7, and then we have it like this. So 9 is too much, I said 7. Okay, 6 to 7. All right, so now what I'm also going to do, I'm going to add in a bit of saturation, to bring more life into it. Just 1 or 2 movements, and then yeah, boom. So let's see before and then after, before and then after. So if you feel like you want to put more saturation on the sky, you can actually do that. If you feel like you want to color grade the photo, you can actually do the color grading. All right, so this is where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to take it to Photoshop to give more more stunning and dramatic look. So let's take a look at our before and then our after and see where we actually addicted. So we came from this to this, from this to this, from this to this. You can see how progressive we went all the way. There's so much more that can be done. You don't have to be stopped. You don't have to stop here, rather, sorry. You don't have to stop here. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm actually going to stop here. But if I look at her lips, I see so much more I need to know to edit there. So I'm not going to change the picture that much unless I want to do something that is actually a little bit different from the photo. So sometimes I might even blur the background. So that's what's gonna happen. Like I said, the background I would like to you can blur it out if it's actually looking distracting, and the only way to do that here is to let's look for the green, which is this one, and you can see the difference we make there. So this one, then go to the clarity. I guess that's the only place we can actually find. Then we're actually going to decrease the clarity. I guess that can actually fix it just a little bit. uh, just a little bit, fix the clarity. But if you want to leave it all the way on, I find it interesting if we actually decrease it, and then the structure also, so to blur things out and then bring the focus more on the image. So you have a lot of different method upon neutral. You can try out all those, and it's actually going to end in a good result. So for today, I'm going to stop right here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. So see you in our next video in Capture One, where we're going to be editing something different. So thank you guys for staying tuned. Catch you guys later. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe.